my special guests on the show tonight. One you know regularly, one you see regularly, one you know so well. Joaquim Idada is seated to the far right, far right. But I have someone who is appearing on Sports Tonight for the first time, a professor of soil science from the Ahmadu Bello University, but also an enthusiast, a darts enthusiast, is with us on Sports Tonight. Professor Edward Uyobisere.
Thank you for having me today.
We're happy to have you, sir.
Okay.
We hardly have, someone in the academics come around on Sports Tonight. So when we get them around, a professor like you, we're always excited.
Really, because we've not always been in the forum, that's the environment we have for these studies, these productions. And I think if we have them in areas where we have these productions, they'll be available for you to discuss.
And let me also tell you that we had to drag Professor out of a game. We brought him right out of a tournament and brought him on the show. But let's talk very quickly around darts. And the first worry for me is the future of darts and the National Sports Festival. The last time we had the Council of Sports meeting, darts was supposed to feature at the National Sports Festival in Calabar.
Yes.
But the last one, darts has become an optional sport, which means it could be in, it could be out. Yes. Does that worry you as an enthusiast of darts?
It worries us really greatly. And I think the government should, or those who are organizing the sport should think differently. And really make it a definite and permanent sport within the sports festival. It should not be removed.
What is the politics around darts being in at some point, now becoming an optional arrangement?
For some people, I believe out of ignorance, they don't realize that that is a big international sport. And currently their efforts are making that part of the Olympics. South Africa is leading the push in Africa. So even when that becomes an Olympic sport, Nigeria will be too far away when compared to Uganda, Kenya, and South Africa. Should we wait for that to be made an Olympic sport? Is it at that point we want to start to prepare for that kind of event? I think it will be too late at that point. And that is why we are canvassing, and that is why we are here in the studio of Channels Television. You know, as usual, Sports Tonight, we break the important things here on this program. We are canvassing that should be not, we should even move that from being an optional sport to a permanent sport in the National Sports Festival, because it is very big. It is big internationally.
Are you worried, sir? Are you worried, sir, that in spite of all the efforts and the number of years that has been there, it is still being discussed whether it should be a permanent sport or an optional sport, in spite of the benefits that a game like that brings to schools, brings to kids, helps their mathematics, and
yes.
Are you worried, sir, that this is still
surprised. I'm really surprised, because if you actually have attended the sports festivals, like the Regan Games, the Research Institute Games, the University Staff Games,
Nuga
Games, and all those, you find that has always been the most subscribed sports and kind of crowd puller. And believe me, most times it even takes a much longer time for us to finish our schedules because of the number of people who subscribe. And I think it is something that should be looked into to actually capture the youths. Capture the youth to, we talk about restiveness, we talk about so many things. And that's actually claiming the limelight now as one of the professional games that have big monies in the world stage, monetary benefits in the world stage. And it worries me greatly. I think we have to look at the benefits that should be derived from it. First of all, right at the development stage of the child, that has a great potential, because it not only just gives you that focus and direction, but blends your physique and your mind and your sight to issues, which gives you a strong sense of.
Do you still play that actively?
I do play that actively. Most times my schedules, kind of
stops you from playing the way you would have wanted to play.
I wanted to play, but we don't have the time, that kind of thing. But I know the youths definitely, if it's properly introduced in schools, maybe the primary schools, secondary schools, it will come up, in the minds, and they'll blend with it and then move along with it. Just like you have football, you have tennis. that could be a big money spinner.
But Jackie, let me come to you. That wasn't at the National Sports Festival. At the last one in Leko 2012. It wasn't there.
Yeah.
So I mean, why didn't we have that at the National Sports Festival in Lagos, and now we're pushing for it to make it in Cross River?
Somehow, unfortunately for Nigeria, everything is politics. Everything is politics. Everybody wants to play politics with this politics. So it was that dirty politics that made them not feature that in the Eco event. But those in the stakeholders in the that circle, this time we are not going to allow it go without shouting at the top of our voice. That's why we are talking about it here in this program to solicit further support from even other stakeholders to say, look, we need to do a lot of major things. One of the major challenges we are having for almost 3-4 years, we've been talking about Van Gewyn. Van Gewyn. A 23-year-old boys. Our 23-year-old boys in Nigeria are busy doing 419 and all manner of things. Meanwhile, in this country, we are talking of the transformation agenda. What are you talking about transformation? And when the opportunities things that will create opportunities for the youth, you are blocking the youth. You are blocking.
How influential, Joachim? How influential? I mean, to wrap this up, how influential is that at the National Sports Festival? How many medals do you fight for?
It is very influential. It is very influential.
How much of an impact does it make on the grassroots?
First, let me tell you. First of all, it is 13 medals. That's one
13
part.
medals.
13 medals
for that. If it was a full sport at the National Sports Festival,
it's 13 medals. It's 13 medals. Currently, it's 13. We can expand it. It is 13 medals. So any state that clears the whole 13 medals, we go far in this thing. But beyond that, what is critical for me is the opportunity it creates for the youth. We have lots of youth who are now, because of the things we have been doing here on this program, and because of the other 3 sports festivals that has featured, a couple of youth have picked the sports. Great opportunities. Why don't we want to raise a Van Gewyn from Nigeria? Why don't we want 250,000 pounds? Surely, if you make 250,000 for one of the Nigerian youth, it will be a different opportunity. We'll be talking something different.
Let me allow Prof to wrap up all of this. I'm say a word to the organizers once again as we wrap up this segment on that and what you want to see at the National Sports Festival.
Yeah, I think that should not be made an optional sport. To actually retained, as one of the sporting activities that has been there all along. And I'm surprised that there should be any consideration in that direction that should be removed. But that is purported anyway, because we've not had any
confirmation around that.
Confirmation. But I hope that they will listen to us and actually leave it there.
Okay, as we go tonight, let's spend the rest of the minutes that we have to talk about Walter Oyatogun. Today in Lagos, the body of a renowned sports broadcaster, Walter Oyatogun, has been laid to rest in Lagos. Of course, Walter Oyatogun was fondly addressed as Sir Wali by sports followers, and Oyatogun contributed immensely to the development of sporting activities in Nigeria. In 1966, he represented the country and won gold in the heavyweight division at the International Boxing Championships in Ghana. The late broadcaster will be remembered for the roles he played in the development of athletics, swimming, squash, badminton, table tennis, and chess. I mean, this was a man who was active as a boxer, as an athlete, as a swimmer, a squash player, badminton player, table tennis player, chess player, cyclist, and a broadcaster. He died on the 14th of February at the age of 78. From us here on Sports Tonight, we can only wish Sir Walter Oyatogun that he will rest in perfect peace. That's how we wrap it up on Sports Tonight this Friday. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.
Oh, he was he was a disciplinarian.